Hi, my friends. This is Trey Smith, and this is my YouTube and Odyssey channel, Trey's Myths and Tunes. And today, my little discussion is called Creativity, Your Forgotten Divine Birthright, Superpower. And part 2 is more about your narratives. But before I begin, I noticed I tore some pages out to use as to keep the bottom of my computer clean, and I was setting up a stand, and it happened to be this the notes for this one about loneliness, and loneliness is perpetual mythology, perceptual mythology, and I got a comment, LOL. Now I have to ask this person, did you mean laugh out loud or lots of love or both? Because before I begin, I have to admit to you that having some of the highest grade cannabis product in the world from Humboldt, California, certainly was a factor in how I was able to come up with this perception. But of course, my sacred sexual practice and all that, and my beliefs and the oneness, as well as heartbreak. You may choose to believe in some crazy celestial voice, but if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. I must choose the path that's real. I must choose free will. What will your career be in 5D, baby? What are you gonna let me see? Could it be that the mind control scenery is so powerful even over me that I could tell you exactly what they did to me and still not overturn it and be a victim like Jerry Garcia was in that lyric when he said the storyteller has no choice, his job is to spread light, not to master. Soon you will not hear his voice because he's on heroin or just because he's really high on ganja and he thinks he's smart. He's channeling the wisdom because cannabis is a psychedelic transmitter to big up the lights and belittle the little. Actually, it can amplify whatever is in your subconscious mind, y'all. I can give you a spontaneous poem almost any time because I'm a poet every day, baby. Can't you understand why? Because I got to obey that Aboriginal commandment because it resonated in my heart. And as Lisa Renee says, take what resonates with what I say and leave the rest. Leave it apart. If it's apart, if it's together, bring it together. Okay, so now we have the climate change narrative. Okay, YouTube executives, is this better? I've got my headlamp on my face. Is this less annoying, even though it's old 6 eyes? Okay, well, this is the, speaking of which, this is the same, very similar thing as the all the way back to the Old Testament and even all the way back to Hare Krishna, to the Rig Veda, you know, or the Bhagavad Gita rather, which is like, do as we say or you're going to be punished, you know, or subconsciously, you know, threats from Yahweh to the scientism death cult. Nowadays it's the scientism death cult, the descendants of Belial, or the Black Suns rather, both pseudoscientists, really. Pseudoscientists who belittle real scientists such as Rupert Sheldrake and say that that's pseudoscience. They call Grant Hancock and Rupert Sheldrake, who are I consider to be real scientists, pseudoscience. This is how they do it, like calling real healers quacks. Well, who's the quack now? After all these experiments proved it. Okay, so we have, on this level, we have Scientists gag orders. See, I'm in the middle of this gnarly atmospheric river. Number version part 2. Part 2 of my video on creativity is about how the insane narratives are going to block you, or we're going to reclaim the entire planet by reclaiming our internal narratives and bringing that forth in a public space. Okay. You know, for non-compliers, there's a gag order. So anyone who works for science in Death Valley, or rather Silicon Valley, Bill Gates, Rockefeller, they're not allowed to admit that they've been dumping things, seeding clouds. You can go on Lockheed Martin's YouTube page and they'll try. Tell me what you think the space fence, what it is from watching their explanatory video. Okay? So basically the subconscious narrative we have from the big boys these days, like 2023, let us destroy a lot with genocidal, nano-engineered rains, floods, fires, and droughts, or else it will be worse and you're going to lose your job or you're going to lose your ability to go to college. We'll kick you out. Who will be the Ron DeSantis for the skies, for the birds, the plants, the trees? What is the role of sunlight and creativity? I mean, duh. It makes all of our plants and animals grow, and humans need it to get nutrients, not just vitamin D, a lot of other things as well in their skin. And it induces creativity and higher learning, extra DNA. Many, many, many things. Sunlight is a very key role in creativity. But, you know, the dark side, they create fully from egoic separation, from the killing impetus to control others, which is the Antichrist. Who will be the Lorax for the sky? The dark create with no light, but Lucifer is the black sun, you know, the anti-life. You know, Catherine Austin Fitz, during the lockdown, she brought up a quote from the television show Deadwood. She said these bullies in town and this old modern Western show would just harass everyone in town and control the town. Until this one guy, they had him cornered and he said, "Why do you do this? You harass everyone." And they said, "Because no one has ever stood up to us. No one has ever stood up to us." I thought that's poignant when it comes to this climate change narrative. Okay? Well, what they're doing, I'll tell you right now, they're terraforming the sky. It's the equivalent of forcing the entire planet Earth to take the shot and all the boosters, every booster twice a year or 5 times a year. It's the same mother freaking thing. Okay? They're forcing Mother Earth to take the experiment, the nano-violent colonization, just like all of you who took it. It's sick. Okay? It's the equivalent of making Mother Nature take all the cyborg slave boosters, program the ionosphere for total control. How well does Big Pharma make your body work? Same with the sky. The unbegun, the Satanist term. Well, I would repurpose this word unbegun to the uncreative or disrespectful folks who obey the narcissistic predator entities are not going to be creative. Okay? Was Dr. Seuss a Lorax for the human imagination? How about that? How about a comment about that? Was Dr. Seuss the Lorax for the human imagination when the 1950s, when they were trying to create these crazy sterile human robots at that point already through mind control only? It was before it became physical. Nanobot. Is the dark creative only in suicidal or homicidal ways? Is rain creative? Well, the dark side and this rain, since they certainly exaggerated whatever natural rain was going to happen, the way I look at it is Satan, or the dark side, waters the seeds to grow in the darkness. If you go to jail and you don't do something stupid like become a more hardened criminal, you realize the wicked, suicidal nature of violence. Hopefully, you know, right? So You never want to be abusive or manipulative again when you get out if you're intelligent, right? So ideally, all darkness or people that go to war, veterans have been some of the realest people I've met in this town socially have been veterans because they saw how bad it is when you obey the dark fully and become a killing soldier. They saw how bad it gets. They went to hell on earth for real. They're not going to act like an inhuman cyborg. They've been there. Okay? I make music with veterans sometimes, man. Because this one guy, he plays the drums every day. Because he reclaimed that power, man. And that's how he's healing that memory, his PTSD. That's a really beautiful thing when they can take back their creative powers after that. Imagine that. If you think you're not creative, what if you were a veteran, man? That could be one of the greatest ways to heal that didn't involve toxic drugs or simple addiction to plants, mental addiction. You know, the takeover attempt is why they do this, man. They don't want you to be creative. The rent, the property tax, the worries, the sympathetic nervous system, the saying stuck in survival mode is fucking easily destroys people's creativity. So a good way to try to overturn that is sing like a Mexican at whatever job you have. Make up a song. Jot down ideas when you're on a break. Or if you're really extremely intelligent, become an entrepreneur in a creative field. Or you can simply have the courage to do what I'm doing now and just throw it out there. Throw your wisdom out. Throw out some creative power. Throw out some ideas. This channel, in case you hadn't already noticed, is all about simply my using. It's really been helping me. Even if YouTube shadow bans it and 5 people watch it, it still helps me ritualistically through a daily, simple spiritual process. Basically, from the time I wake up, I make myself open to my... This is how I do this channel. I make myself open to my spirit guides. And I watch... I read a few PDFs or a book, a few books, spiritual books, a few chapters, and then watch some enlightening videos, and then I get ideas from other people, or as well as ask my guides, what's it going to be? And today, you know, until I let go, you know, a huge factor in this is letting go of the worry or the fear, the idea that you can't. Besides not having, many of you are not willing to create the space to do it and the discipline and daily discipline of doing that music or art, whatever it is you want to do every day. Practice makes perfect. That's a true cliche, or you'll approach perfection. And if you don't make it a daily thing, if you don't keep doing it, you know, I can give a rat's ass what Satan and Lucifer and all the 15-foot reptilians think about or what they want for me. Unless they're going to force me, unless they're going to come in and kill me or force me to wear the mask, force me to take the shot, force me to stay 6 feet away from people, force me to never talk to people, force me to never go see live music, then I'm going to become a creative activist. Because they're not going to take away those rights from me if I'm born in USA and I'm a real artist and I'm a real freedom lover. What are the role of plant medicines and creativity? Well, cannabis and coffee are my 2 go-tos. Any medicine, plant or otherwise, especially otherwise, but even plant medicines can be both good and bad. If you become too addicted, it can be a detriment. Your mental addiction, you need the coffee, you need the weed, you need the beer, or whatever, or you're not going to be creative. Then it can stifle it. And this channel has also helped me get over that shit. So that's another way. Just sharing can help you overturn addiction. Addiction can ruin creativity, the rent. The dark side can only come up with creative, organized killing sprees through fear, coercion, and threats. But you can learn to reclaim this power. And it is a superpower, your divine birthright. If you have the courage, you can. If you've never, even if you've never done it before, you can start becoming an artist today. If you enjoyed this, click subscribe and create a great one, my La Familia. I love you.